We're breaking down every Bray Wyatt promo starting from the very beginning, so listen along as we open the book and follow the words of the Red. Chapter 1. I hated my daddy. I was raised in Lafayette, Louisiana. My daddy, he's a captain of his own shrimp boat. I hated my daddy. He was a mean old man, my daddy. He took 8-year-old Bray Wyatt and he pulled him out of school. He didn't think I needed to learn with the other kids, but then randomly one day my daddy, his boat caught on fire, and it sunk down in the Cajun with him. As I went away for a while, but Bray Wyatt, he learned how to read. It started with C-Spot Run, and then it was Clifford the Big Red Dog, and then it was the Good Book mostly after that. After I learned a lot of things. I learned how this world likes to throw away a little white trash peon like Bray Wyatt. And let me tell you something, I ain't no white trash, I ain't no peon either. I'm better than all of you, and I wouldn't want to be that guy. I wouldn't want to be that guy, the first guy that has to get in the ring with me. Man, I wouldn't want to be you, because I'm going to take pleasure in watching you burn, man. Just like my daddy, come with me. Time is on my side. All right, super. There's a lot to this promo, right? There's a lot to setting up the Bray Wyatt character with the dark past of him basically drowning his own father, lighting the boat on fire.
Allegedly.
That's what allegedly his boat drowned. But there's a lot to this promo, right? Like it gives you his location and where the kind of accent quote comes from. It gives you that dark, eerie past. Like there's some mystery to this character. It builds up that he read very little, but what he did read was the Good Book, which would come up all throughout the history of Bray Wyatt, and even to this day with Bo Dallas and the Wyatt Six. There's been tons of biblical references, like just deep in the Bray Wyatt universe. So this is pretty cool that they started talking. He started talking about the Good Book at the very, very beginning of this character because it's a staple now. And then it talks about, how the world's against him. The world's against him. The world likes to throw little white trash people like him away, but he ain't white trash. And good luck to the first guy that gets in with him. And OG Wyatt family member that we see in the background, Mr. Cottonwood, who would not make it to any version of TV. But what'd you think of the promo, and what'd you think of it setting up for all the deep references we'd be getting in the future, including to this day with Bo Dallas?
So there's a lot of things in this promo that that I don't know if they were intentionally, because we know from what we know now about Bray Wyatt is that he plans years and years ahead. So I don't know if these things were intentional or if they just happened to kind of flow over. The first thing I want to point out is kind of like we were talking about earlier. His origin being in Lafayette, Louisiana. It's kind of funny because his dad owned a shrimp boat. That means that his dad would have
Forrest Gump. His dad was Forrest Gump.
I just looked it up, and his dad would have like 140 mile a day round trip if he owned a shrimp boat.
The grind.
So he's on a grind.
He was on the run from the IRS.
That's what it is, man.
That's what it was.
But his boat. His dad's boat caught on fire or whatever. He went away. He doesn't exactly say where he went away to, but
true.
I kind of feel like maybe this when he went away, that's kind of like the perfect opening for when he met, Sister Abigail and she talked to him about the man in the woods, all this stuff.
It's crazy, right?
Out later.
Remember early White Rabbit teases? We kept getting like the psychiatric reports about Bray Wyatt that came out.
Right.
Ooh,
right.
What if that's when he went away?
Right. And I don't think I think that this, given the nature that this is obviously a heel promo, right? Whenever he says my daddy was a mean old man, I don't think we can actually take that for fact. I think his dad was probably just like a dude trying to run a shrimp boat who had a psychotic son.
Yeah.
And didn't know what to do, know? And so like obviously it insinuates that he burnt his dad's boat to the ground and his dad died.
Yep.
But so that's why I think, I kind of think that relates to the insane asylum and where he lived and how it talks about in later promos about him being there, multiple times.
Yeah.
Maybe this was the first time he went.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
And like you said, the Good Book that's referenced. There's a lot of biblical references even today. There always has been kind of biblical things thrown in here and there. It's not strictly biblical, but you
Right.
could tell that they're
Undertones.
using that, right. They're using it as undertones.
Yeah. And like we said before, like there's only been like 2-3 mentions of Bray Wyatt's in character father. Obviously, we know who his real dad is and all that, but there's been little to no mention of Bray's dad in the character of Bray Wyatt. So it's very interesting that his very first promo as Bray Wyatt, he talks about his father, and then basically nothing since. Like he wrote his dad off immediately. He comes in, he's like, oh, I drowned him and burned his boat, and that's it. And like basically we never get mention of him again.
Yeah, I mean, so you and I are two people that have watched multiple Bray Wyatt promos over and over and over. I truly cannot think of another reference to his father in his entire career. I could be totally wrong, but
yeah,
just right off the top of my head, I literally can't think of him ever talking about his father after this FCW promo.
Yep. Yeah. Unless it was some random TV or something like that, but none of his major ones or even somewhat major promos ever mentioned his father, which is interesting. Because he refers to, it's interesting how like the Bray Wyatt family works, right? Because like Eric Rowan and Luke Harper were known as his sons. Like they were like the first son, the second son, and then obviously he has sister Abigail. But when it comes to the parents, like we don't really know nothing about the parents.
Right.
The dad, we know from the very beginning, his boat caught fire, drowned, and but the mother, have we? Yeah, I don't know if we've ever gotten any reference to Bray Wyatt's mother ever.
Yeah.
If we missed it, then it must have really fallen through because I don't think I've ever heard reference. If anybody's watching, let us know down below. But yeah, the family tree is kind of weird because it's like Bray, those are his sons, but they're like the same age as him. But it's right. Then you got the sister, but like I don't know. The dad died young, I guess.
I think maybe the sons thing is less like a literal son,
follower,
more of like
follower.
What the fuck was that? Did you hear that?
Oh, Bray's there, bro.
More of like I gotta be, more of like a follower, yeah.
Yeah, more of a follower, yeah.
But so I want to kind of throw this out there and tell me if I'm way off base here or not. I think that there's a line in this promo that we've brought up a few times now that I think is the first ever reference to Sister Abigail.
Which was what?
It's and then it was the Good Book mostly after that. We know that Sister Abigail used to be a nun. So do you think maybe after his dad died when he learned to read, that's why he read mostly the Good Book, was because he was with Sister Abigail, who was a nun at the time?
Could be. He didn't say how old he was when his dad passed away. He said he was little.
Right.
I think he said he was little, but Sister Abigail could have been, I guess, an much older sister.
When I hear little, I'm assuming. I mean, when I refer to myself as little, it would be between like 5 and 11.
Right.
So somewhere in that gap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be
easily
could be the first ever reference to Sister Abigail right there.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part of this promo that is like, is it a carryover? Is it something that's still being referenced today? Is this something that Bray was setting up back in FCW? Was Bo Dallas, his whole thing now is like he freed them from the pit. He granted them freedom. Blah blah blah. All this good stuff. And it talks about people being thrown away. I learned how this world likes to throw away a little white trash peon like Bray Wyatt, right? Well, the storyline we're seeing now, as we've seen time and time again, is Bo Dallas saving those that were just thrown away.
Right.
Yep. So, could this have been a holdover from his FCW days? Just like this was his message all along.
It's just full circle, man.
That's what it is. It's truly from day one. This is day one promo.
Yeah.
All the way to today.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And then so obviously in all of his FCW promos back then, at the end he would sing "Time Is on My Side," right? Have you looked at the lyrics of "Time Is on My Side"?
I'm sure this rabbit hole goes even deeper with that song.
Dude. Okay, time is on my side. Yes, it is. Now you always say that you want to be free, but you'll come running back. You'll come running back. I said so many times before. Like it's talking like later in the song, go ahead, light up the town and do anything your heart desires. Remember, I'll always be around, right?
Mm.
It's all about like I'm setting you free. But you're gonna come back. Like obviously, the original intention of the song is like a love song, right? The
Sure.
message being if you love someone, let them be free. But when you use it in kind of a Bray Wyatt context, it's still again, really well relates to what they've got going on today.
Mm.
Of I'm setting you free, like he set them free from the pit.
Dude, can you imagine one of these weeks, Bo Dallas is out there cutting a promo, and at the very end, he just goes, "Time is on my side," and then he just hits that pose, sick. Dude. Talk about full circle. That would be insane.
I would lose it, man.
That would be insane. That would be so good.
Amazing.
So good. Yeah, I think this promo definitely set up a lot. It definitely kickstarted the universe. More so than like if you watch this at face value, you could be like, okay, this guy's it's like a wrestler's backstory. But when you know all these years later, everything we got all these years later, you look at it differently. You're like, wow, this might have been teasing a lot. And like he might be saying all these things that at the time you're like, okay, he's just setting up his backstory. But like all these years later, you look back at it, and like we do with everything with Bray Wyatt, you're like, a lot of this stuff adds up, and a lot of this stuff goes together, and a lot of this stuff is still paying off years later.
Right. And I mean, it's little thing, even the little lines in the promo, like, I'm going to take pleasure in watching you burn. Right. Well, as somebody who's watched Bray Wyatt over the years, you can't help but to think that everything's connected, right? You can't help but to think that even that line is poetry. I'm going to take pleasure in watching you burn, which is kind of referencing how he burned down his dad's shrimp boat, right? Mm-hmm. But then you have the poetry coming back with Randy Orton burning down the barn, the compound, right?
Yep.
So and you have to ask yourself, in Bray Wyatt's shoes, when he was booking that, when he was coming up with that, was that his poetry? Like what goes around comes around. You burn down your dad's shrimp boat, I'm gonna burn down your compound type thing. You know what I mean? But it's simple things like that, like burning something down is so common. I mean, we could easily relate that to Seth Rollins if we wanted to.
Right.
It's so common that you just kind of look over it, but being a Bray Wyatt fan, you have to go, did that mean something? Mm-hmm. Even if it's a stretch could be the truth. You never know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All the stuff that we've seen, like if you've seen the documentary, if you've seen anything over the years covering him, you know that like things that you might think would be a stretch aren't. Like there's been so many things that you're like, nah, that can't mean nothing. And then it means something. Like right before he passed away, he went on Twitter and said, there was a string of 6 or 7 promos I did in NXT where each promo I threw in a hidden word, and all 7 of them together create a hidden message. And it took people like years to figure it out. And he kept giving clues on Twitter and stuff, like trying to give clues to people. Like everything, it's like I said, nothing. You should not overlook anything. Everything could mean something, whether you think it does or not. It's you just don't know. You just don't know with him. It could all mean something. But yeah, I thought the first promo was incredible. It built up the universe pretty nicely, giving little details about everything, and just the character himself. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. We're going to be covering all the Bray Wyatt promos. We started with this one because this is basically the creation of the Bray Wyatt character. Let us know your comments down below, and we'll see you guys next time.